Good evening and welcome to tonight's episode of Embracing the Moment. I'm your host, Pastor Joe Ercoli, Discipleship Pastor here at Genesis Church. And joining me for this episode is Pastor Bob Tome.
Yes, hello.
Lead pastor here at Genesis Church. So thanks for joining us here, Pastor
Sure.
Bob. And we are here. And guess what? We're wrapping up our series on wellness. Yeah. It's been a journey.
Yeah.
And we've covered quite a bit. So if you're just dropping in, or maybe you're dropping at the end of the series here, would encourage you to go back and just participate in those conversations, watch those conversations that we had. We've covered a lot of topics. I mean, just to throw some out, we're not going to be exhaustive here, but we've covered a few episodes with Jason Berry.
Yep.
We talked about the weight loss plan. We talked about developing the strength plan. We looked at simple exercises with seniors. We talked about sleep, exercise, and nutrition. We had Adam Metz, our wellness and counseling director, join us for a conversation on mental wellness. We've really, and I'm sure I'm not being exhaustive there. Yeah. We've covered quite a bit. Oh, my conversation with Donna from ETM Clinics on the 4 circles. So there's been a lot, and I've really appreciated the practicality of this series. Yeah. So as we round this out, here we are at the end. Yeah. And I kind of want to kick it over to you because this series, while we worked together on developing it, this was really your brainchild. And when we began this series, we talked about what were some of the hopes that we would have people would take away. Yeah. And so here we are at the end, and I just want to kind of ask you this question of, what do you hope people learned from this series?
Well, I hope that you realize that there are a lot of good resources out there. One of the things we tried to do was bring good resources. Yeah. And so Jason Berry has he has 2 books. We highlighted the second book that he wrote. Yeah, the newer one. But there are 2 there, and he tries and works hard to develop a spiritual focus to exercise and encourage people that way. I really appreciate our relationship with ETM Clinics. Yeah. They're very willing to step in and share and give some advice. You can benefit from them even after this series is done by going to eamondclinics.com, and there are many resources out there that they have. If you're ever in need of extensive counseling, they have offices in Washington, D.C., as well as New York City. And we can help you make that contact, or again, online, you could make that contact yourself. But And by the way, we've actually heard a lot of good things from folks here at Genesis Church about ETM Clinic. Yeah. And how they've gone on their website or they've made contact with them. And it's been pretty cool to see the stories of people connecting at this intersection of where their faith overlaps with just kind of caring for the whole person. Right. And some of the specializations that ETM Clinics brings to the table. Yeah. That's just been encouraging. Yeah, and I think for all of us, we hear a lot. You may be employed somewhere where they have health programs, exercise, give breaks financially or whatever, in regard to that. Seniors who listen to us, there are programs that the YMCA has for those 65 and over. And so you can take it. We're bombarded all around us with good information.
A lot of good opportunities.
I don't know about anybody else. My problem is I still like to do what I want to do, and then I get in trouble.
So it's not for lack of information.
Right.
It's for lack of application.
That's right. The applying part, yes. Yeah.
I mean, come on, we had to talk about that. We're pastors, right? So we had to weave that in here somewhere.
Yeah, that's right.
Let's talk a little bit about just kind of like personal testimony, because you shared this with me, and I putting you on the spot. We didn't talk about this beforehand. So you've been implementing, to some degree, that plan that Jason laid out with you very early on in this series, developing a weight loss plan. Yeah. How's that been going?
Well, it's been going well. Last week was not a good week, so I can be honest. My tendency, food is the comfort. So if I'm stressed...
Welcome to my world, too.
If I'm feeling, like, I got to think through all this, or I'm tired now because of this, it's easy to run to food.
Bring out the ice cream.
Yeah. And
sour bites.
Oh, okay.
The Sour Punch sour bites.
Oh, okay.
They are my weakness.
Oh.
Yeah. All right. Sorry.
Well, that's okay.
That's not your weakness.
No.
There you go.
I'll take usually anything ice cream except some weird exotic thing. But, anyway, no, I think for me, I know right after Jason did the series with us, I really have been working hard.
Yeah.
And I say I did because I'm looking at last week where I didn't do well. So I guess I could say I'm still doing. But, I was doing really well up there. Up to that point. I was getting over to Planet Fitness. I wasn't concentrating on the cardio. I was concentrating on the machines.
And that was a change for you, right?
Yes, because in my mind, like probably in a lot of people's minds, they think, okay, well, if I spend an hour doing cardio, I'm going to lose all this weight.
Yeah.
And as Jason explained, what happens, your body gets used to that half hour, whatever you choose, and then the metabolism just takes over and you don't lose any weight. But I remember him saying how with weights, you're actually burning 3 times what you would burn in cardio, because after your weight exercise, your body's still burning.
Yeah.
So I really started focusing on salads. I started focusing on fruit cups at the grocery store, berries, things like that are good for you.
Well, you had to because it's his last name.
That's true. That's a good point. So anyway,
that was bad.
That's all right. We'll just keep going. So started to work on some of those things, and I was starting to feel different. I know I lost at that point. I was about 3 pounds, and
But you were feeling it though. I mean, you were feeling.
Yes, I was
better.
feeling strength, and and that's probably because of the weightlifting or working with the weights. But also the energy level was different.
Yeah.
And so that was good. So I think for me, those things were helpful. Now, for me, I have to watch my green vegetable intake because of my Coumadin.
Right.
So I have to be careful with that. But I pretty much balanced that and got a good balance in there with that. But yeah, I really appreciated that or the information that he shared, that information, and was doing pretty good. So my goal is that I need now to refocus and get back to where I need to be.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thanks for letting me put you on the spot.
Sure.
I know that is something that you've shared with me in the last few weeks as we got towards the end of this series. And what I appreciate about it is I see you making an effort to take these conversations that we're having, and insofar as you're able to,
right,
to implement them.
Yeah.
And really where the rubber meets the road, because like you said earlier, it's usually for us, it's not for a lack of information.
Yeah.
It's the actual making the hard changes to do it, and that's hard. That's challenging.
Yeah.
It's challenging. So as we're wrapping this series up, Pastor Bob, is there anything else that's really jumped out to you in this series, just for you personally? I mean, I know it's gonna really be contingent on those who have journeyed with us, which episodes have really jumped out to them.
Yeah.
And I'll just say this before I kick it over to you. I've gotten several emails throughout this series, depending on the episode, people emailing with questions or people wanting more resources. And I really appreciated that. So I just recognize we can't be exhaustive in what's connected with each of us individually, because it's going to be different than for you guys tuning in. But for you, what's some of the leading things that have really stuck with you?
Well, I think that Amen Clinics is a great help, because while we can practically go to the gym or make changes in our diet, it really starts in our thinking. And so if we're not careful, how we think, mentally processing, how we're doing psychologically, physically, spiritually, all those things factor in too.
Yeah.
And so getting a mindset, I think Jason in his book brings out clearly the fact that even when we think about our daily intake of food or exercise, to really pray through that as well. Asking God to help us stay focused, make the right choices in the day, whatever it might be. Prayer doesn't necessarily just need to be something we do when, there's a catastrophic event. We're to always be praying, so prayer can be a part of just our well-being.
I appreciated that too, helping us to see here's something that I think a lot of us struggle with, and seeing how the Lord cares about this in our lives. And it's an example of practicing the presence of God through prayer, even on something that for many of us might feel like, what does this have to do with my walk with Jesus?
Right.
And I don't need to repeat all that he shared, because he hit that very well.
Yeah, and people can pick that up in the book too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's just the idea that, of course I want to be strong theologically. I want to be able to have a conversation about God.
Yeah.
But I need the physical strength to endure ministry, to endure serving where God calls me to serve.
Yeah.
So all those things play in. I mean, when Elijah was depressed, I know that's kind of another avenue, but even God was concerned about his health, the food, the rest, mental recharging. All that was important to God in the life of his servant.
Oh, we even see that with Jesus in the wilderness. Right, so after he defeats the test of Satan, the Lord sends angels to minister to the Son, to Jesus. Yeah. And presumably he'd not eaten for 40 days, so we're told, right? And would assume this is an echo of the Elijah story, right? So even Jesus, we see this in his life and in his ministry, right? So, it's just so important. I appreciate, I already said this earlier, I appreciate the practicality of this series. I think what I especially appreciated when you floated this idea by me, I got excited about it because the timing, right? So we're still in a pandemic. Hopefully our experience is a little bit more semblance of the new norm than maybe it was this time a year ago. But we're still in a pandemic. Mental challenges for many of us are at an all-time high in our nation's history. With that comes physical challenges for many of us, relational and emotional challenges for many of us. And here we are, right? We just had Thanksgiving, and now we're going to be heading into the Christmas season. And so I got excited when you floated this idea, because I just feel like it's a great time. I mean, it's always a good time to talk about wellness, taking care of ourselves, practicing self-care. But I think now's a really helpful time. And so just like being compassionate to ourselves as we head into the Christmas season, where it's a time of heightened stress for many of us. It's a time of maybe we're going to go into some tense conversations with family and friends. And the driving or the flying for some of us. Maybe some of us still haven't gotten all our presents for other people. We're last minute on that, right? You name it. Just the stress becomes palpable in the Christmas season. And so there will probably be times for myself where I'm not going to be exercising like I like. I'm not going to be sleeping like I like. I'm already not sleeping because of a newborn, but that's just this moment in my life right now. So all of those things will compound, is what I'm getting at. Yeah.
And I think also, as the year ends, some of us are, calendar kind of goal setters, know. Whether you begin at the beginning of the year, springtime, summertime.
Right.
But I think even right now, as we're in the midst of the holidays and coming to the end of the year, maybe this is a time to go back through some of the resources and the people that we had as guests.
Exactly.
Pick up some tips and then plan, okay, when Christmas is over, January comes, I'm going to put this plan into practice. And it might be finding other people to join with you so that you feel like you have a partner, know, and you're not out there by yourself trying to do it. So there are people who hire nutritionists, they hire people for training, personal trainers. So there's a lot. Maybe that's a good Christmas present for someone. I heard that.
Now you're thinking.
I heard that the other week where somebody got a birthday present for someone where it was just so many weeks of a personal trainer.
That's a great idea.
So maybe you're trying to find that gift and you just don't know what to do for that. Of course, that could be dangerous. They might, what kind of message are you sending me? But maybe that would be a neat gift, where they want, somebody wants to take those steps.
Yeah.
And that could be a neat gift. Definitely something when they get information from a trainer, it's not a gift that ends. They can continue using those tips and stuff. So,
and I appreciate that, because that's where I was going with it. Was I know over the holiday season, I will just get out of my routine, right? Yeah. And I'm just kind of, for me, you have to do what works for you. For me, it's just part of kind of the season, and that's okay. But come January, and so that's where I was going with, come January, hey, you have December, you can be watching, rewatching, re-listening, and putting that. I think that's the key. Out of anything that we've talked about in this series, that's the key for me is what's the plan that we're going to walk away with from this?
Yeah.
And my encouragement would be, because we covered such a broad array of topics, most likely, unless you're really good, most likely you probably aren't going to be able to set goals in each of these areas that we covered. But pick 1, 2, or 3.
Yeah.
And then set specific goals. Set smart goals around those. And use those as a way to bring the new year in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Any other thoughts on that?
No, that sounds good.
Yeah.
I think that's one great thing. There's a lot of good resources we've provided, and you who are watching, a lot more good resources.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for you guys who have tuned in with us through this whole series, thank you. For those of you who have participated, comments, emails, questions, thank you. We appreciate that. We appreciate the engagement. We encourage you guys, rewatch, re-listen, share this with your friends, with family, and hey, like you said, maybe even using this to frame up some gifts.
Right, yeah.
Or for yourself, your wish list.
That's right.
Right? Here's what I could use.
Yeah.
So we're gonna be taking a little bit of a pause for this holiday season, the Christmas season coming up here. We've got a busy month ahead of us.
Yeah.
And we really want to stay focused on that. And we thought, hey, it'd be a great time for you to take maybe this time that you would use to listen to Embracing the Moment or watch Embracing the Moment and spend it with your family. Enjoy relationships, friends, family, reconnecting with those who maybe you haven't seen in a while. And then we're going to reevaluate, see where things are at, and we'll go from there. Yeah. So it's always been and continues to be a joy to just go through these different series with you. And Pastor Bob, thanks for the idea on this one.
Yeah,
it was good.
And if they really miss us, you can come Sundays.
That's right. That's exactly right.
I'm sure many of you do, but just in case there's one or two out there.
That's right.
Yeah.
And one last note as we wrap this series up. You referenced this earlier, but if you find yourself, I know, especially during the Christmas season, it can be hard for those of us who've lost loved ones.
Yeah.
Even if they passed away and they didn't pass away near Christmas, it's still just it brings those emotions and those memories to the surface. It could have been not even losing a loved one. It could have been an event or a moment of trauma, whatever it might be. If you're struggling as you're heading into the Christmas season, and you feel like, hey, I just need some help. I need some support. I need some encouragement. We would love to connect with you. We'd love to connect with you. We have a counseling and wellness ministry here at Genesis Church. If you're not part of Genesis Church, or you're watching this and you don't even live anywhere near York, Pennsylvania, and you're just looking for some direction, we would love to be able to at least be an encouragement to point you in getting that help that would be beneficial for you. So just know, for whatever that's worth, we really want to help you. So you are not alone in this, even if you are alone watching this right now. You're not alone in this journey. So, Pastor Bob, where could folks go if they would like to learn more about our counseling ministry? And then secondly, if they're just far away from here and would like to get some input, who would they contact you?
Well, they would contact Adam Metz, and you can reach Adam through counseling at genesisyork.com. That is an email address that goes only to him. So it's private, it's confidential, and he can help you with resources, connect you. If you're local and want an appointment with a male or female counselor, he can set that up and he would be glad to do that.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you. Thank you.
Sure.
Well, thank you for joining us. We hope that you had a great Thanksgiving and that you're going to have a great Christmas and a great December. And we look forward to seeing you next time.